Okay, hello everyone. It's me again, Claudine Fernandez, and I'm coming to you live yet again today for the second time because it was an issue this morning with the audio. Okay, so I'm re-recording this webinar for you, and it's entitled How to Make Your Child a More Independent Learner. So let's get started. I'm going to share with you some tips on how to make your child more independent. But first of all, let's talk about why it is important for children to be independent right now in this day and age. So as all of you or most of you would have experienced, HBL, home-based learning, working from home, it can be quite a challenge for both parents and children because parents would have to tend to their own work matters and they will also need to prepare their child for home-based learning. So those children who have not been very independent tend to struggle when it comes to, setting up equipment or navigating the resources online. So therefore, in today's day and age, it is more important for children to be independent, and it's more important than ever because they need to be able to navigate through waters of uncertainty. Okay, so the first tip that I have would be to actually let your child or empower your child to explore different ways of doing things. And what has this got to do with independence? So basically, children who are able to do things in different ways or they are able to explore different media, they tend to become more comfortable and they also tend to become more confident when they are carrying out tasks. And instead of, running to an adult first or seeking help straight away, they would tend to tinker. Tinker is a term that we use which literally just means to, play around and try out different things. They would tinker and they would try and, they would basically attempt to solve problems by themselves first through different methods. And especially today, we have to, make children realize that there is no one fixed way of solving problems, be it a math problem or be it a very practical problem that they might face at home or while doing their HPL, right? There are different ways to solve different issues and different problems, and they should try until they find a solution that would be best or that would be, most efficient for them. Okay, so that would be my first tip for you. My second tip is actually to give them the right amount of space and freedom. So I'm stressing on right amount here because I'm not saying that, children should be given free rein or complete free rein over everything, but instead they should be able to do things, but within constraints or within boundaries. So, I know many parents who set up like child locks or they set certain restrictions on the sites, the websites that their children are able to access. And that's completely fine because, we have to also monitor the kind of things that our children do online or any kind of activity that they are engaging in. So some monitoring, especially if they are very young, is completely necessary. But within these confines and these boundaries, we should be able to give them time and space to do what they enjoy and also to navigate through different platforms by themselves. So this will lead them to become more independent learners, and they will also take better charge of their own learning and more ownership of their own learning as well. Okay, so that's tip 2. The next thing is really to teach them how to seek help. And when I say seek help, I don't mean, again, the first thing that they would do is to run to you and say, I don't know how to do this, can you help me, right? That would actually be very disruptive for you as the parent as well. So when I say seek help, I'm actually referring to seeking external sources of help that they can do by themselves. And one of the ways that they can do this is through research skills. I'm a very big fan and proponent of starting children early in their research journey because this is something that they are going to end up doing in their academic life and also, probably when they go out to work. So it is only right that we start them early. And this goes, beyond Google. It could even be hard copies of newspaper articles or magazine articles that are suitable, but get them into the habit of finding answers or coming up with questions and then finding the answers from different sources. And when you do this with them, it becomes also very, very effective because you can tell them how, information is shared in different ways and through different means. So we have to be very discerning in terms of what we take, especially now that, we are so bombarded by different types of information everywhere. So we really have to pick and choose which information we can use and which one is accurate and which one is useful for us. So starting children young will definitely, put them into this habit of finding things out by themselves in the right way and also being more discerning of what they find out, especially if it's on the internet. Okay, next. Now, the fourth tip that I have is actually part of ASA's philosophy, which is really to try, right? To give it a try even when they fail, or to give it a try even when they make mistakes. And when I say, give it a go again, or don't be afraid to try, it is not that they can keep on making the same mistakes over and over again, but instead, when they try something new, especially when they're trying to be independent and they make mistakes, it is actually all right. It is actually okay. And we can encourage them to pick themselves up and then go again, right? So this will give them the confidence to try things on their own, of course, within safe boundaries. And, if they make a mistake, they would just retract, they would learn from it, and they would do better the next time. Another tip that I have is to actually motivate them with different things. So when I say motivate them, some of you might be thinking, does this mean that I would have to buy them new toys or new things whenever they get something right or whenever they do well? Not necessarily. I think that, children should also not depend a lot on tangible things or tangible rewards because, it sets up this unhealthy cycle where if they are too dependent on material rewards, and then what if one day there are no rewards, right? Then that would be detrimental to their own growth and progress. So instead, motivation can come in different forms, like encouragement, or even a simple pat on the back or affirmation as they navigate their learning journey. And this would, steer them towards trying. It will steer them to, again, taking ownership of their learning and progressing further than where they are at right now. Okay, so rewards is something that can be really quite effective. All right, and the last tip that I have for you is actually to choose tasks that give them just the right amount of challenge. So when I was in grad school, I learned about this child psychologist, or rather educational psychologist, Vygotsky, and he had this theory of the zone of proximal development. So in this zone, there are tasks that children would do that give them the right amount of challenge. That means they don't find it too difficult, but they are challenged enough, and they also receive the right amount of support, so they don't give up. At the same time, it is not too easy, because if it's too easy, there are times that they might actually be bored. So the sweet spot in between is actually what your child should be doing, all right, to gain independence and to gain mastery of something. So the thing is, in school, you are not able to choose the task that your child is given, right? Or in the tuition center or an enrichment center, you may not be able to choose the tasks that your child partakes in. But at home, or when you're choosing DIY resources for your children, you should choose tasks that provide them with just the right amount of challenge, again, to steer them and to motivate them further. And these kinds of tasks ideally would encourage them to be independent learners and to be self-directed learners as well. So at ASA, we do have one such program which can be done by a child, himself or herself. And this program is actually for children aged 6 to 12 years old. So we have the beginner's version and we also have the advanced version. The beginner's version would be for children aged 6 to 8. and the advanced version will be for children aged 9 to 12. And it's called Building Your Empire. And the best part of this is that it is all done on PowerPoint. So no internet connection is necessary. And we also have a printable version where you can actually print your slides out, and your children can actually work on them on the hard copy as opposed to on a digital copy. So I'm just going to show you what Building Your Empire is about and how we use this at ASA to build our students' confidence in writing, in their creativity, as well as in terms of their independence, because they don't need to consult us, or they don't need to really consult any adult while they are working on this. Okay, so I'm going to escape full screen to show you the different activities that we have as part of this program. So when children actually are exposed to this, there's a self-directed video that they can play.
Hi, welcome to the Building Your Empire game. As part of this game, you will get to design your own empire and be the leader of it. You will also get to choose your very own citizens. And after designing it, share with us the inspiration behind your design and how you chose the citizens in your empire. To get started, you need to design your own avatar before building the empire and choosing your citizens. There will be video tutorials to guide you along the way. Stay tuned for the surprise at the end. Are you ready to go? Let's begin.
Okay, so after watching a video tutorial like this, they can actually start on the activity. And children are generally very savvy. So after watching something and telling them how to do it, they are usually able to, do it by themselves or do it without any severe form of difficulty. So for example, when they choose their avatar, so this is actually something that I was inspired by when, I hear my students talk about video games. So they usually have an avatar that they start with, and this really helps in terms of character development. So my avatar, for example, would be wearing pink and, have this kind of hairstyle. So I can just drag and drop the different kinds of hairstyles. So let's say if I don't want this one, I can change it, and I can also move it around. And then I can also change the facial expressions, right? So I can leave this here. If I want to add spectacles, I can also add spectacles over here. So there's some form of customization that can be done to create the avatar's identity. And then after keying in my name, I can key in my age, for example. So let's say I'm still 21, right? And then after they design the avatar, so they have a character in mind already, and this character will go on to build his or her own empire. So the concept again is very much inspired by games like Roblox and Minecraft. And again, there's a video tutorial on how to do this. So I'll just show you the different kinds of landscapes that are available for children to choose from, okay? And this is an example of a completed version already. This is an empire built on land. So this is the empty space that they have to actually input the designs of the different structures that you just saw. Then there is also one that is built on air and one that is built on sea. Okay, so based on whichever that they choose. So for example, if I like the C one, I can choose from different designs. And there are different categories of things as well that I can add to my empire. So for some of the categories, we also give them some restrictions. Like for example, a command center, we want them to choose at least one, because this would be the central focus of the empire. So they would just basically copy and paste, and whichever that they choose, they can paste it, and they can also move it around and resize it. And if they want more than one command center, they would just have to replicate the design. So as they are working on the design, we encourage them to think about why they are choosing these buildings and these structures. So aside from the command center, we also have the residential areas, the power plants, entertainment plazas, farming lands, military barracks, some nature as well, business park to ensure that the economy runs smoothly, schools for education, and then they go on to choose their citizens. So based on the structures, then they have a rough idea of, who would inhabit the empire. And again, for the citizens, we have different types or categories of citizens over here, and they are only allowed to choose 1,000 citizens. So just now I said a bit about boundaries, right? And to be creative also, sometimes you need to work within boundaries. And so we are giving them the opportunity to really think about how many of these different types of citizens they would want in their own empire, making up a grand total of 1,000. So once they are done with that, okay, we have different things to motivate them, because, some of you might think, okay, what if they just design and then, they copy and paste and then they build an empire, but then after that, they don't want to write, right? So we have thought about this. And just like I was talking about motivation and rewards earlier, we do have digital motivational rewards as well. So these come in the form of treasure chests, badge set, knights. So they will be sent these things after they have finished writing. Okay, so for example, the first question would be where or what inspired their empire. So this is what I wrote earlier on. So this is actually for the 6 to 8 year olds. So it is very scaffolded. There are blanks for them to fill in, and there are also helping words. So something that children can do if they don't understand what the helping words mean is, they can actually take a dictionary, or they can search the meanings of the word online, and then they can actually fill it up. So for example, if I say my empire is built on land because, and then I can fill in, I want it to be grounded. Okay, so the font is actually in black, so they would just need to change the font color to white. Okay, and then I can key in adjectives as well, like it looks very glorious and majestic, for example. So if I were a 6 or 8 year old, I could actually use these words to help me craft my narrative. This is an example for the 9 to 12 year olds. So these are the advanced students, and they would be expected to write in full paragraphs. So we do have guiding questions instead of the helping words. So if they follow these guiding questions, they can actually write a coherent paragraph about the inspiration behind the empire. Okay, so let me show you an example of a student who is 8 years old, and this is what she wrote. Okay, you can see that in her response, she does add in a little bit of personalization, right? It's very unique because it includes, the Kallang River, Oasia Plaza, right? And it can even be quite detailed. So for example, my empire is unique because the water is not salty seawater, okay? And trees can grow without rain. This is another example of a student who's 12, and he wrote in a full paragraph about why he wanted these amount of citizens, right, the militants and the children, to be part of his empire. So it does take some thinking on the part of the children as well. They have to justify why is it that they pick the buildings and structures. They also have to justify why they have picked the citizens and the number of citizens that they have chosen. So this involves their creativity and critical thinking skills. And then after every question, there is a reminder for them to, finish the question and answer the question so that they will be able to win their rewards. Okay, now as part of every exciting story, there is a problem. So we've included a complication in this building your empire where the kingdom or the empire is invaded by villains. And children would then have to write about the villains, why they would want to invade the empire. And after that, they would have to write about the solution. So how would the invasion end? So again, they have helping words for the younger kids to actually detail the experience of the invasion and the resolution. So again, there's a reminder to complete. And lastly, if they have finished everything, we will actually direct them to email us the completed PowerPoint, because we will be giving feedback as well. So it's not something that they just do and then they forget about. They actually have to save the PowerPoint and then they will have to send it to us here. And again, as a reward, they would get a whole set of structures that they can add on to their kingdom and their empire. So the building doesn't just stop there. They can actually furnish or embellish their empires with, more designs and more details as well. So this is another further motivation for them to complete everything and send it to us for feedback. Okay, for those of you with younger kids and maybe you don't want them to increase their screen time, there is also a printable version available of this product. So this is an example of a printable version where the designs can actually be cut out and pasted onto the slides. And to save on printed ink, we've actually designed the printable version to have white backgrounds instead of black, so that it's not very intensive on the printer. Okay, and the last thing that I need to share with you is actually our special promotion. So as part of the whole HBL initiative, as well as tiding through this period, we are having a promo now of a 20% discount for Building Your Empire for both the beginner's version and the advanced version, the soft copy as well as the hard copy. So if you go to this website, tinyurl.com, ASA Building Your Empire, you just have to enter the code upon checkout and you'll be entitled to a 20% discount. This promotion only would last till the 31st of October. Okay, so do hurry and get it for your child if you feel that you want your child to be more independent in their learning. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to either comment on this post or you could also email us directly and we will get back to you. All right, so thank you very much for listening and do take good care. Hopefully, I will see you again next week with another live stream. Thank you.